was going to give interviews and hold a press conference about the fact that the UN Women organization is silent about the atrocities on October 7th. And I hope everybody here appreciates the way that she's moved forward and became such an important voice. But the next question is to you, Heidi. First of all, why is it that UN Women were silent for so long? And in fact, the first statement was really minimal and really didn't go into the proof that these things really happened until 6 months from the date occurred. Please tell me what your thoughts are.
I would love to tell you what my thoughts are on all of this. First, Daphne, I want to thank you so much for making this evening possible. The film dropped on YouTube on April 25th, and we spoke shortly thereafter about it. Then the footage of the 5 young women hostages were released, and it was devastating. And Anila, Soraya, and Daphne and I got on a call and said this has to happen sooner rather than later. So it was a wild ride, and here we are tonight. So I'm really grateful to you for such an honorable evening, and that so many people turned out, and we hit it, it is an important issue that we needed to elevate. So thank you for all of the effort that went into this.
Thank you.
And bringing all of the teams together and everything. So thank you so much. I also need to share that I've been doing work with Women's Voices now for 12 years, and my job is to watch films about atrocities against women all over the world. And something that arises from that experience is seeing that no matter who you are as a woman, what country you come from, religion, race, creed, whatever your multiple identities are, violence against women is universal, and it is the same all over the world. So it stands to reason that when an atrocity against women occurs, that we would all rise up and speak out against this, because it is really a global issue. So the silence of UN Women shocked me, as did the silence of women's rights organizations all over the world, because everything I thought we were going toward apparently was a lie, and I'm still recovering from this and carefully figuring out who are the allies in this work and how do we move forward in this time. But the truth of the matter is that as a world, as a global culture, we have an issue with sexual violence and not addressing it. So it is actually the best time in the world to be a woman. You have access to economic opportunities, education, political representation, but the one statistic that only gets worse is violence against women. Before the pandemic, it was 1 in 4 women in the world will experience violence in their lifetime. After the pandemic, it's 1 in 3. In preparation of this evening, I scrolled through every single tweet of Secretary General Antonio Guterres to see, how much did he talk about the sexual violence of Hamas, and, because everyone has different accusations. They did address it, they didn't address it, so I'm like, fine, let me just go to the horse's mouth and see what he did or didn't say. There is sexual violence happening in Tigray, forced sterilization of Uyghur women in China. There is incidents in Ukraine, in Haiti, in Israel on October 7th. There's enormous amounts of sexual violence happening all over the world. He doesn't mention any of those things in his tweets. Actually, sexual violence committed by Hamas gets about 4 or 5 since October 7th. So comparatively, the issue is actually on his mind. At the same time that he was finally making a statement publicly around November 29th, at the same time, UN peacekeepers who had traded services they were supposed to provide to women in the DRC for sex were finally being brought to justice. And he didn't tweet about that. That would have been a real effort to show we are serious about addressing sexual violence in the world. So this is a global women's rights issue. It is not surprising that the UN was silent on it. What was surprising was that the rest of the world was silent on this issue.
Yes. Yes. It's actually shocking for me to think